The GM Motorsports National Stock Car Series presents the Coors 200 from the Sanair Superspeedway, St. Pete, Quebec. Over 40 of the toughest short trackers in the United States and Canada slug it out in 140-mile-per-hour action on Canada's premier superspeedway. The Coors 200 from the Sanair Superspeedway, St. Pete, Quebec. Looking at the Sanair Superspeedway at St. Pete, Quebec, Canada's fastest stock car track, home of the NHRA National Drag Race Championship and former Kart Molson Indy site. Today, from this exciting semi-bank tri-oval track, it's the GM Motorsport National Stock Car Series Coors 200. Heading into today's event, Russ Erlin of London, Ontario has a 42-point lead over Junior Hanley of Oakville. Kevin LePage of Shelburne, Vermont also in the hunt. And there's a look at the rest of the top 10.
Hello, I'm Joe Tilley. Veteran stock car announcer Dave Moody has been following the Coors American-Canadian Tour since day one. Dave, this event might help Hanley regain his series lead.
Well, Junior Hanley and Russ Erlin are two different types of race drivers. Hanley prefers the long tracks, the super speedways, where he can start near the front and really show his car's speed all the way. Russ Erlin is a short track specialist. He starts at the back of the pack, works his way through the field, and he's up front when it counts, when the checkered flag flies. The final two races of this year's GM Motorsports Series are here at Sanair, a super speedway. That could play into Hanley's hands. We'll see how it turns out.
A major concern for the drivers today was the weather. Let's go to George Como with that story in the pits.
As you can see, weather has already been a factor here at Sanair today. Showers off and on through the morning greatly cut back on the amount of practice time available to the drivers, and also took a good deal of rubber off the speedway. It'll be basically a green racetrack for this afternoon's event. Also, bear in mind, if we come down to 101 laps having been completed, the race then will be official. So if rain is in the offing, we're 75 or 80 laps in and you're sitting in 7th or 8th place, it will be incumbent upon the driver to get to the front in a hurry.
This is what it looked like earlier today. The rain was coming down, but now the track is dried and we're ready to do some serious racing. Here's a look at the grid.
Derek Lynch from Norwood, Ontario, the 18-year-old rookie, will start on the inside of row number 1. Outside, Paul Richardson of Ogunquit, Maine, the former super modified champion in car number 07. In row 2, Claude Leclerc of Montreal, Quebec, the 5-time Canadian Series champion. And on the outside of row 2, the former AMA motorcycle champion, Dale Quarterly of Rockland, Massachusetts. Row number 3, Junior Hanley of Oakville, Ontario, battling for the Series championship. And Randy McDonald of Oshawa, Ontario, the former Rookie of the Year on the American-Canadian Tour. In row number 4, Leo Poirier from Cumberland, Ontario, one of the up-and-coming newcomers on the American-Canadian Tour. And outside, Bill Zardo from Brampton, Ontario, in the Powertrain Limited Chevrolet. Row number 5, the GM Motorsports point leader, Russ Erlin from London, Ontario, in the John Thompson Moving Chevrolet. And Rob Clark from London, Ontario, 2 London drivers in row number 5. The GM Motorsports National Series pace car brings down the remainder of the field. Buzzy Bezanson and Kevin LePage in row 6. Row 7, Lucien Rochelot and Beaver Dragon. John Paul Cabana and Donald Thiege in row 8. Row 9 to Yvonne Bedard and Gord Bennett. In row number 10, Tom Kenyon and Ralph Nason. Dave Dion and Larry Hebert side by side in row 11. In row number 12, Dick Belisle and Dan Beatty, Andre Baudouin and Blair Bassett in row number 13. Row 14 goes to Dennis Robertson and Steve Monroe. In row 15, Chuck Beatty and Roger LaPerle. In row 16, Daniel Wolf and Dave Lebrecht, Jerry Lesage and Barney McRae in row number 17. In row 18, Guy Dumoulin and Sylvain Metivier, Richard Thibodeau running shotgun in row number 19. Field is set, coming down, looking for the green flag. It is out, and Paul Richardson on the outside line in car number 07 has the lead. Derek Lynch in the number 15 drops back to the second spot off the pole position. Claude Leclerc is third, and the man on the move is Junior Hanley. He is up to the number 4 spot. There's Richardson as they race through the tri-oval, already opening it up on the field. Lynch in second, Leclerc third, then Junior Hanley, and the 8 of Russ Erlin.
Derek Lynch, the 18-year-old rookie from Norwood, Ontario, gets passed right off the bat by Paul Richardson. Richardson with a good job, and now he is opening up a big lead over Derek Lynch.
Lynch has his hands full in the rear-view mirror right now as Claude Leclerc is really working him over in his Chevrolet Camaro. Paul Richardson setting a blistering pace in the opening 2 laps. He has already opened up a 20-car length margin as they hit that hard left-hand turn number 3. Richardson, before the race, said that his car was handling well and he was looking forward to getting this race under green.
I'm really coming off the turns real good today, so I'm pretty happy about starting up front. You know, we get a little bonus money for leading every lap we lead, and so, you know, and a lot of the pressure's off, I think, when you get to lead too, because, you know, you can be a little more conservative on your tires. When you have to start in the rear and you work your way to the front, you know, you can beat up a right rear tire pretty heavy on especially at tight turns like this, and so I'm really excited about starting outside pole. You know, I think we'll run good.
He's certainly running good right now. Richardson with a big lead. Now it's Junior Hanley has moved up from 4th in a 2nd spot. Claude Leclerc behind him, and Derek Lynch now has dropped back into 4th, and you can see Junior Hanley is picking up a little bit of room now on Paul Richardson.
Richardson still with a big margin as they race in turn number 3. Lap cars not far ahead on the racetrack. And so far, Paul Richardson in the Norseman Resorts Pontiac has dominated the early laps of this event. Pulling up on Richard Thibodeau in turn number 1. There's Junior Hanley setting sail in search of the leader, Paul Richardson. Hanley has begun to close the gap. Claude Leclerc continues to run in the 3rd spot. Derek Lynch, the pole sitter, has dropped back to the number 4 position. Richardson down on the bottom of the racetrack in turn number 3, down the front straightaway one more time, continues to show the way. Andre Baudouin is on pit road in his Chevrolet. One other car in the pits, Dick Belisle, the KP Enterprises Pontiac car number 35. Attrition already coming into play.
A 200-lap race, and they're out of the race early, but hopefully they can get things straightened out, get back on the track. And there's a 07 car of Paul Richardson as he tries to wind his way through some of the slower traffic. And now Junior Hanley has moved up the challenge.
Richardson on the outside of turn number 1, and the lap cars are 2 abreast in front of him. He'll have to wait his turn and sort his way through. There's Hanley in the white car number 72. Right behind him, the 3rd place driver, car number 11, Claude Leclerc. They move up and around Daniel Wolf as they head for turn number 3, one of the fastest portions of the racetrack. Still, Hanley and Leclerc running 2nd and 3rd. They make their way past Wolf at the start-finish line. Paul Richardson, the 07, leading now, but only by about 10 car lengths. He moves down into the tri-oval, goes around a couple of slower cars once more. Richardson's had it just about his way all the way through this thing, but the gap is beginning to close.
Junior Hanley, the veteran from Oakville, he is currently 2nd in the overall point standings in the GM Motorsport Series. He's trying to close the gap on Russ Erlin, who's currently a little ways back in the pack, and if he can finish and maybe pass Richardson, he can do that.
Junior Hanley's car is definitely quicker in traffic than Paul Richardson's as he closed the gap to within about 10 car lengths. But on an open racetrack as they are right now, Richardson is able to pull away once again. Claude Leclerc, car number 11, running in 3rd, and there's Russ Erlin. He has made his way to the number 4 spot in car number 8. Chuck Beatty's car number 77. The hardline logger, Davis Contracting Service Chevrolet going behind the wall. Dick Belisle's Pontiac as well, so that's 3 cars out of the running. Gord Bennett, car number 67, well up in the point standings in the GM Series. On pit road, he does some quick repairs and is back on the Speedway.
And there are the leaders, Paul Richardson, but now Junior Hanley, the 72 car, has closed up that gap.
And we've got trouble on the inside of turn 3. Leo Poirier in the Auto Pro Buick has done a 360-degree spin. He sits facing the racetrack with the rear end of that car up against the wall. He refires the machine and is back underway. The caution flag is out. Leo Poirier with some front end damage on that car. Let's see it again. There, he noses into the inside retaining wall, spins all the way around as the field moves high to avoid him in turn number 3. A close call for Leo Poirier. He brings that car down on pit road, does not appear to be seriously damaged. They'll go to work with the racer's tape on the front end.
There's a look at the standings. Paul Richardson continues to lead, but Junior Hanley is charging. We'll be back. Back at the Sanair Superspeedway, Leo Poirier is back on the track, and we are getting ready for the restart.
The fast cars on the lead lap up in the high line, lap cars down low. The green flag is coming out. Paul Richardson and Junior Hanley at the front of the pack, followed by Claude Leclerc, Russ Erlin, and Derek Lynch. And again, it is Richardson of the 07 leading the way through turn number 1, but Hanley is right on his back bumper this time as it's a 2-car breakaway at the front of the pack.
This restart allows Junior Hanley to get right up there. He's putting a lot of pressure on Paul Richardson. Behind him, Leclerc. And as we mentioned, Russ Erlin, the points leader, has now moved up into 4th spot.
Junior Hanley with a big advantage here because he's got no one behind him to worry about at the moment. He can devote his full attention to attacking Paul Richardson. But Richardson, as he did before, beginning to pull away just a bit as they head for the tri-oval. The lead now 2 car lengths. Richardson in the 07 has led all the way. Hanley still right there on the 2nd spot. Then a long gap back to Claude Leclerc and Russ Erlin in the 3rd and 4th spot. Again, a 2-car tandem on the inside of turn 3. That time Hanley took a look down on the inside. Didn't have the horsepower to pull off a pass on Paul Richardson. Down into turn number 1. Again, Richardson on the bottom of the track. Hanley looking even a little bit lower. There's Leclerc and Russ Erlin beginning to close the gap. 2 groups of 2 as they head for the tri-oval one more time.
We've got 2 good races going on here. Junior Hanley trying to get past Paul Richardson, and Russ Erlin doing his best to get inside of Claude Leclerc.
Junior Hanley that time a bit sideways coming out of turn number 3. The rear end of the car broke loose momentarily. Hanley did a nice job to hang onto it and stay in pursuit of Richardson. There's Leclerc in the number 11. Erlin has a hole shot on the inside in turn number 1. Russ Erlin trying to power underneath Claude Leclerc. They get into the tri-oval at over 160 miles an hour. Erlin and Leclerc battling it out for 3rd. It's still Richardson the leader. Hanley 2nd, and there's Erlin down on the inside of Claude Leclerc as they come out of turn 3. Drag racing for the line. Leclerc again holds him off in car number 11.
Erlin thought he might have had Leclerc there, but Leclerc was able to shut the door. Now here comes Erlin again, and he does get by Claude Leclerc and into 3rd spot. And what a move by Russ Erlin.
Well, Leclerc found himself up in no man's land that time, high on the outside of that hairpin turn number 1. Russ Erlin with the faster line down low made short work of him. So Erlin now is 3rd. Leclerc back to 4th. Derek Lynch in 5th. And again, a 2-car race all alone at the front of the pack. Richardson in the 07, the 72 Junior Hanley. Richardson through the tri-oval showing impressive speed as he pulls away again by 3 car lengths. Richardson definitely the faster car on the open track, but Hanley handling a little bit better, makes up his ground in the corners.
Junior Hanley, the veteran car maker from Oakville, he knows his cars. He's got his car very well set up here today, but he doesn't appear to have the horsepower.
Paul Richardson continues to show the way in turn number 1. The weather has not been a factor so far. In fact, the sky is beginning to clear just a bit. That'll take one more worry out of the back of the mind of these drivers. One car running slowly through the tri-oval as the leaders go by. It's the Sylvain Metivier car running very slowly. Appears to have no power under the hood. He's going to coast his way back to the pit area. Sylvain Metivier, the Canadian competitor in the Pontiac car number 82, dead in the water, just rolling his way back toward the garage area.
Paul Richardson getting a little bit high in turn 1, and Junior Hanley looks for an opening. He doesn't find it there, but he's still on the tail now of Paul Richardson.
Either Richardson is beginning to push high in the corners or Hanley is really turning up the heat right now. The 72 car of Hanley mounting its biggest charge of the race so far. That's bad news for Richardson. We've got a big pack of lap traffic ahead as they race down the front straightaway. Again, Hanley looking down on the inside. Richardson moving up on the lap cars. The 02 of Guy Dumoulin will be the first in line. Paul Richardson in the 07 goes to the outside, uses Dumoulin as a block as they race the tri-oval, and he'll hold on to the lead. Now the 51 of Dennis Robertson will go down a lap. Richardson setting the fast pace in the 07, and Hanley right now with no choice but to follow along in that high line as Richardson laps cars.
Richardson's forced to go very high as he passes these lap cars, but Junior Hanley right behind him has to go high as well. He's not picking up any ground.
Two cars running side by side in front of the leaders as they head for the tri-oval one more time. That's Ralph Nason on the outside in the red and white Dodge Daytona, car number 10. Nason now gets it back down into the low line. Richardson moves past him on the outside. Donald Theege in car number 80 will be the next car to go down a lap. Then the 66 of Lucien Rochelot. Paul Richardson, the veteran driver with only over 20 years of racing experience in the super modified division, putting that experience to good use here as he works lap traffic perfectly heading for the tri-oval.
Richardson punching the holes, and he knows if he makes a mistake that Junior Hanley will be right on him or past him, and so far he hasn't made any.
He got all the way through that big pack of lap traffic without a single mistake, and that keeps Junior Hanley back in the number 2 spot. They've cleared the pack of traffic. Now Russ Erlin and company having to make their way through, and that's allowing the lead pair to break even further away from their pursuers in 3rd, 4th, and 5th place. Through the tri-oval one more time. Richardson now has legged it out by 5, make it 6 car lengths over Junior Hanley, and we've got a car spun on the back straightaway. The 49 of Rob Clark, look at the field taking evasive action. A close call there for Rob Clark. That cannot be a good feeling, sitting broadside in one of the fastest parts of the Speedway.
Rob Clark with some anxious moments in his Buick, but he's getting it turned around. He's going to be back racing.
Well, Clark really dodged a bullet there, or should I say the rest of the field dodged the bullet. The caution flag is on the Speedway. Rob Clark is back underway, and he'll rejoin the field at the rear. Some of the lead pack perhaps considering pit stops now. Here's Jean-Paul Cabana, the in-car camera, and Cabana is one of the drivers coming onto pit road. Jean-Paul Cabana brings it down, looking for his pit stall. Downshifts, slows the car, and he'll pull in. Probably right side tires, the order right now for Andrew Osowski and the PP Electric team. Cabana is on pit road, and now they'll go to work.
Jean-Paul Cabana, the only member of that lead pack to head to the pits. The number 74 car of Jerry Lesage, he's currently running in the middle of the pack. He's also taken the opportunity to change tires. And there's Leo Poirier is back in the pits. Obviously, there is some problems with that car after that date with the wall.
Oh, the Sylvain Metivier machine still on pit road after slowing on the back straightaway. They're working under the hood. Still early on in this event, just lap number 54. Cabana takes advantage to pit early. The remainder of the leaders stay on the field. Pace car is coming in. Once again, the lead cars on the outside line. Richardson, Hanley, Erlin, Leclerc, Derek Lynch, and Randy McDonald now has come to the number 6 spot in car number 01. Field coming down the front straightaway. John Hulbert has the green flag out, and Richardson leads them away one more time into turn number 1. He pulls away by 3 car lengths. Hanley running in second, and there's Russ Erlin up to the number 3 spot, and now in contact with that lead draft for the first time this afternoon. Richardson and Hanley. You can see Hanley close the gap as they head into turn 3. But at the exit of the corner, Richardson pulls away one more time. But what had been a 2-car race for the lead, now a 3-car draft as Russ Erlin begins to close in car number 8.
Russ Erlin, the main benefactor of that spin involving Rob Clark. He was behind some lap traffic, but now he is right on the tail of Junior Hanley.
Through the tri-oval one more time. Richardson again able to pull away as they head toward turn number 3. Well, we've got trouble in turn 1. The 93 of Tom Kenyon, and I believe it's the 77 automobile, Chuck Beatty, have come together. Cabana's involved in it in car number 5A as he pulls away from the scene. Cabana did not make contact with either of the cars, but he spun taking evasive action. The 77 of Beatty all torn up in the front end. Tom Kenyon's number 93 does not appear to be seriously damaged. Both cars are underway. Let's take a look at it once again. Coming into the picture on the right-hand side, you'll see Chuck Beatty and the 93 of Tom Kenyon. Kenyon gets hit from behind by the Steve Monroe car, spins broadside in the corner, and there's poor Chuck Beatty in the yellow and black number 77, left with nowhere to go. And on the left-hand side of the picture, Cabana goes around. So Jean-Paul Cabana, who took the opportunity to pit early, paid for it that time as the back markers get in trouble, and he's right in the middle of it.
There's Beatty heading into the pits. His crew has a little bit of body work to do if they hope to get him back out on the track.
Safety crews out in turn number 1, picking up the bits and pieces of fiberglass off the Chuck Beatty machine. Tom Kenyon's number 93 is back underway. Beatty is on pit road, and they're going to have more than some body work to do. They've got parts and pieces hanging all off that car. Cabana coming back on pit road. This time they'll change the left side tires. So what had been a bad break, now a good break for Cabana. He'll have 4 new tires as we restart when we return.
exactly what happened out there to Jean-Paul?
Well, he was taking it easy in the beginning of the race because there was a lot of traffic, and the handling of the car started going away. So we came in, we changed tires, then unfortunately got caught in a skirmish with some back cars going into turn 1, and we hadn't finished changing the setup of the car yet. So now we're at the tail end of the lead lap, and hopefully from here it goes good. You know.
Rob Clark's number 49 going behind the wall. Looks like it'll be the end of the day for him. And we are back racing the 07 of Paul Richardson, still holding on to the lead. Junior Hanley in the second spot, and they have broken away from Russ Erlin. Nearly half a straightaway, the gap back to Erlin in car number 8 as he is unable to hold on to that lead pack. Richardson moving up around a pair of lapped automobiles. The 74 of Jerry Lesage, car number 65, Blair Bissett. Hanley takes a look down on the inside through the tri-oval, has him hung up. No, Richardson fights his way back to the inside of Blair Bissett. A great move by Paul Richardson, holds on to the lead there.
Junior Hanley certainly seems to have the inside track here. He's got the inside line all the way around, but Paul Richardson continues to hold him off.
A very chancy move there by Richardson and a bold maneuver at over 160 miles an hour through the tri-oval as Hanley looked like he had the nose underneath Richardson, trying to hang him up around that outside car, but Richardson brought it back to the low groove just in time to hold on to the lead, and once again he has pulled away from Junior Hanley. It's Richardson by 3 car lengths as they hit turn 3. Let's take a look at it again. Here's Hanley, the second white car in line. He is underneath Richardson. The lap car up high. Richardson left turn right back down in the low groove and slides through to hold the lead.
What a piece of driving by Paul Richardson. Hanley certainly seemed to have him there, but Richardson hung in there and really shut the door on him.
Richardson continues to show the way, but Junior Hanley turning up the heat in car number 72. Richardson going a bit high in turn number 3, but Hanley not close enough to make a challenge that time. They head for turn 1 once again. Junior Hanley certainly knows his way around this track. He's won the last 2 events here at Sanair. We asked him what it takes to win on this tricky tri-oval.
Staying out of trouble, and it's really hard on brakes. You can't misuse your brakes and stuff here. You got to keep them for the end, and if you got brakes at the end, you can usually run pretty good.
And brakes so far haven't been a problem for Junior Hanley, at least you wouldn't think so. Right now, it appears that Paul Richardson might have a little bit more motor.
No question Richardson is able to pull away on an empty track, but he's got a full racetrack right in front of him. The Monroe automobile first in line. There's third place Russ Erlin, and this is a good opportunity for Erlin to try and close the gap on that lead pair as they work the slower traffic down the back straightaway, heading for the tri-oval and turn number 3. Erlin in car number 8 tried to close the gap once again and hold on to his lead over Junior Hanley in the GM Motorsport Series. Dan Beatty's car number 53 on the inside. Richardson and Hanley pulling around, and there's Erlin beginning to close the gap, still in car number 8, edging a little bit closer every time around. Up to the outside, Richardson one more time, heading for turn number 3, goes around the Barney McRae machine, and now they go 2 wide in front of him. Dale Quarterly in car number 32 goes to the outside. Richardson ducks down low on Quarterly. This could be an opportunity for Junior Hanley. Richardson down low. Hanley takes a look up high. Paul Richardson fights his way out of the box, holds onto the lead, and goes around Larry Hebert. Another great move by Richardson as he makes his way through the traffic unscathed.
Junior Hanley continues to follow Paul Richardson around through the traffic, looking for that opening, but Richardson just won't give it to him.
Well, it's got to be frustrating for Hanley because he's made all the right moves to take advantage of a mistake by Richardson, but Richardson has been right on the money every time. That was another daring maneuver, putting a car up 3 wide through the corners. Dale Quarterly was receiving the passing flag, but he pulled up double file in front of the leaders, and that's a good way to get yourself a shot in the rear end because those leaders don't like to see too wide traffic in front of them.
But it doesn't seem to have bothered Paul Richardson at all. He continues to weave his way through the traffic, and Junior Hanley's got to be sitting back there scratching his head, wondering what it takes for this guy to make a mistake.
Now, Richardson has been perfect so far. He's led every lap, and once again, he moves around some of the lap traffic. Dale Quarterly has been black flagged for running too wide in front of the leaders. They bring him into the pits for a stop-and-go penalty. The American-Canadian Tour official there to tell him exactly why he's on pit road, and in just a couple of moments, they'll be sending him away. But That's a costly mistake for Dale Quarterly. It's going to cost him a lot of time on the racetrack in the Paul Varaca Motors car number 32. Quarterly is down and away, and the leaders continue to race the traffic through the tri-oval. Richardson moving around Leo Poirier. Junior Hanley right behind him, and Russ Erlin has closed it up on Hanley. Once again, it's a three-car race in turn 3.
And there's car number 93, Tom Kenyon. He's losing it. He's going to spin into the wall.
A close call there for Tommy Kenyon from Manotick, Ontario, in his Buick. I don't think he made contact with the concrete. Has the car right back underway, but the field is slowing. We're under caution. Let's take a look at it again. Kenyon on the outside in the orange number 93. He just lost it going into turn number 3. He was up in the high groove, got in a little bit too hot, and that car now doing a slide for life through turn 3. Yvonne Bedard in car number 9 getting a good look at it as he jumps on the binders. Then Kenyon sliding up to the wall, did a good job of getting that car stopped before he hit the concrete and did serious damage to the back end of the Parkway Van Lines Buick. Kenyon is back underway. We're under yellow, and another opportunity now. Decision time for the drivers at the front of the pack.
This is a perfect opportunity to hit the pits if they need to, and it looks like we are. Paul Richardson, Junior Hanley, and Russ Erlin all heading into the pits.
There's a stampede for pit road right now as all the leaders are coming in. George Como is standing by on pit road with the action.
Paul Richardson coming on pit road. He has led from the green flag to start the race. He is taking on gas and right side tires here on lap 88. The change is apparently a good one for the moment. The gas going down, the tires are on right side, and Richardson in here along with most of the other leaders, including Russ Erlin. Richardson waiting for the jack to come down on the right rear, still waiting as more gasoline is put into the automobile. A long stop for Richardson. He is now away. We get spilled gasoline right here in front of us, but the 07 is away. The No Spin Resorts machine will rejoin the field.
But he will rejoin the field in the number 4 position. Dave Dion has elected to stay on the racetrack. He inherits the lead. Erlin will be second, Hanley third as Erlin beat Hanley to the end of pit road. Richardson after a slow stop all the way back to 4th. George Como standing by again on pit road with his crew chief, Dana Toby.
He's come in, he's gotten the tires, he's gotten the gas. You guys can go from here?
No, we're going to have to come in one more time for fuel. We can only go about 100 laps, on green laps on fuel.
So somewhere in the last 10 or 15 you're going to have to come in, if not before?
Yes, yep. And it should be a real shootout from there.
What about the rest of everything? Are you happy with the way car's running?
Yeah, Paul said the Northman machine's running real good. And he said he's just holding back, and he really hasn't turned the wick up on it yet.
That pit stop has been the only problem that Paul Richardson has had all day. If he continues to run like he was before, it shouldn't be long before he's right up there again.
The big question now, Joe, is Dave Dion in car number 29, the orange and black Berlin City Ford Thunderbird. Dion, the only driver among that lead pack that elected not to pit. His tires are just about worn out at this point. He wants to stay out there, lead a few laps if he can, and hope to catch another caution that'll enable him to get back on pit road. Dion the leader, Erlin running in second, then Junior Hanley, Paul Richardson, and Beaver Dragon. Dragon in car number 91, the only 3-time winner in the history of this speedway, has brought himself up to the number 5 position. There's Hanley and Richardson down the front straightaway, chasing the lead pair. Erlin trying to go underneath Dave Dion, and there's the first sign of worn-out tires. Dion drifting very high in the corner, gave him a shot on the inside.
Dave Dion gambling not only on tires, but on gas. Russ Erlin gambled on gas the last time he was at Sanair. It cost him the race.
It cost him the race with less than 30 laps to go when he ran out, and Junior Hanley went around to take the win. Here's a challenge for the lead. Erlin going to the outside of Dave Dion on the front straightaway. He blows him away going into turn number 1. Erlin on the outside did it the hard way as Dave Dion forced to baby that car through the corners. Now is being challenged by Junior Hanley. Through the tri-oval, Hanley on the outside pulling up. The Ford down low, Chevrolet up high. They go wheel to wheel into turn number 3. Dion's car getting sideways, backs out of it. He almost got that car into the wall as the rear end broke loose.
Dave Dion almost losing. A good job by Junior Hanley and Paul Richardson to avoid an incident here.
Let's look at it again. Dion on the inside trying to fight off Junior Hanley. Just gets into the corner a little too hot. The rear end comes around. Hanley makes his way past. Richardson right behind has to stand on the brakes to avoid hitting Dion and taking him all the way around. A close call for all 3 drivers.
The leaders, Erlin and Hanley, and there's Beaver Dragon now in third, followed by Paul Richardson, and right behind him, Claude Leclerc in that number 11 car.
Junior Hanley wants a piece of the lead on the inside of turn number 1. He moves down below Russ Erlin, and he takes over the spot. Hanley out in front, Erlin second, then Beaver Dragon, trouble in the corner. Jean-Paul Cabana gets around Leo Poirier, and Yvon Bedard comes piling into the middle of it. The 00 of Roger Leperle also spinning. The field is under caution. We've got debris and race cars all over the racetrack in turn number 1.
Yvon Bedard looking for a hole between Cabana and Poirier. The hole was there. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite wide enough.
Well, there's Leo Poirier spinning up to the top side of the track. Cabana spinning down low. And along comes Yvon Bedard in car number 9, trying to fit a 60-inch wide car through a 58-inch hole. Bang! You see the results. Poirier's right front, Bedard's right front come together. The fiberglass flies all over the racetrack. For the second time this afternoon, Leo Poirier is on pit road, and the racer's tape going to work on the front end of that car.
The Molson Export mid-race standings, Erlin and Hanley in the Chevrolet's Dragon, and a Pontiac that is Richardson and Leclerc. Oshawa's Randy McDonald has entered the pits for what appears to be a mechanical problem. There's Steve Monroe getting pushed off the track. Let's go to George in the pits.
Randy, what happened?
Oh, we're not real sure yet. Got some sort of airlock in the cooling system. So we're out there. We've had the problem since probably about 50 laps. And like the gauge was flopping back and forth. So we had to make a call. Do we come in and check it and risk, you know, like losing our position just because we got a bad gauge? Or, you know, do we have serious problems? So we didn't know what to do.
Randy McDonald left standing on pit road as the rest of the field goes back to green. Russ Erlin, the leader in car number 8. No question about Dave Dion's strategy that time, Joe. The yellow flag came out. He was on pit road for new right side tires and a tank of gas.
Dave Dion took that gamble. It paid off for him. He's got fresh tires. He's got some gas, but he's at the back of the pack. He's got some racing to do.
Russ Erlin at the front of the pack holds on to the lead. Beaver Dragon second, and there's Paul Richardson moving back underneath Dragon through the tri-oval to go to the number 2 spot. He drops Dragon back to third, and again, Joe, is Paul Richardson flying through the pack trying to catch up with the leader.
Paul Richardson was doing some dandy racing before he had that long pit stop which put him back in the pack, but now he's got a challenge for the lead again.
Richardson is pulling himself back into contention. Beaver Dragon third. There's Junior Hanley and Gord Bennett, the rookie driver in car number 67, running in the number 5 spot. Russ Erlin continues to lead it as they head for turn number 3. Paul Richardson back up to second place, and a battle beginning to shape up for third. Beaver Dragon of the Diet Pepsi Pontiac is being gained on by Junior Hanley in his Chevrolet. There's Erlin in turn number 1, continuing to hold the lead. Then Richardson, Dragon, and Hanley as they run toward the tri-oval one more time. Randy McDonald is back on pit road. We had a chance to talk to Randy a bit earlier on at his garage.
The Golden Boy of Ontario Racing holds a degree in engineering, but his first love is stock car racing.
First attracted to the sport of auto racing probably for the same reasons everybody else was. You know, you sit home, watch it on TV, it's fast, it's exciting. You know, maybe there's some fame and fortune, sort of like you keep that, you know, in your mind, or you look, wow, you know, it'd be nice to be on TV waving to everybody and all this. But that was probably when I was 14 or 15 years old. When I was 16, I got my first race car, and things changed in a big hurry. We found out that there was a lot more to racing than just, you know, getting kissed by the trophy girls. Racing today is a full-time business, it's a full-time commitment, and it's really a lifestyle, which, you know, good, bad, or indifferent, you have to be wholly committed to that.
Going into today's Coors 200, McDonald was in 9th place in the battle for the GM Motorsport National Stock Car Series title. Unfortunately, Randy's 01 Buick has seen its share of problems with 7 starts and only 3 top 10 finishes.
Well, there's no doubt racing is definitely a team sport. You can compare it to several different teams. From a driver's standpoint, I'd say it's sort of a lot like hockey in the sense that, you know, you're going around looking after the puck, trying to get the puck. But when you're the race car driver, it's like you got the puck all the time as far as, you know, trying to score the goals. But, you know, we can't be the heroes. We're kind of in the limelight, but we really got to count on the people in the background. And in order to be a success, that's where it's all at. So we're out there in the car but we really aren't capable of making the decisions of what that car needs. We can communicate back, you know, the car's a little loose, it's pushing a little bit, whatever it is that the car's going on, we can communicate that back. But all we decide on is, do I dive in or do I hold back? Do I go fast, do I go slow?
I talked to Randy on the radio and advised him of how his lap times are going, whether the leaders are leaving him behind, if he's picking them up, if he's leading the race, who's coming down on him, and whether he needs to get going, or perhaps he can ease up the pace and take it easy on the car if no one else is threatening him.
I do a lot of different things. I do a lot of the timing for the team, a lot of the organization. In the past, I have handled the sponsorship end of things, the media. I put together the press kits. I handle all the entries when we get to the racetrack, all of the organizational things.
Randy lives in Oshawa, Ontario, a true automotive town and headquarters of GM Canada. His accomplishments include an ACT Rookie of the Year title.
We're a new team this year. We've got a few bugs that we've been trying to work out all year. Some things come up, but when we're running strong. And I know AC Delco's committed to the program, we're committed to the program, and we're going to get stronger each race out.
McDonald through for the day in the pits, and while you were away, we had a savage accident involving the O2 car.
Guy Dumoulin in car number 02 hit the outside retaining wall head on and very nearly full throttle. The safety crews were on the scene immediately, but amazingly, Dumoulin walked away from the wreck. Back to green flag racing. Russ Erlin and Junior Hanley once again at the front of the pack, and they are going at it for the lead.
And Hanley moving into the inside, and he's going to take the lead away from Russ Erlin. Junior Hanley now in front.
Hanley with a great move on the inside of turn 1, gathers up the lead position. Erlin trying to go to the inside. Hanley slams the door on him in turn 3. Russ Erlin almost went right down pit road. A great piece of maneuvering by both drivers to keep those cars under control. Hanley in the 72 leads it by 5 car lengths. Erlin is second, and a new man in third, Buzzy Bezanson.
Bezanson followed by Claude Leclerc and Kevin LePage.
Racing through the tri-oval, it continues to be Junior Hanley, but Russ Erlin starts to close in one more time. The lead is down to 3 car lengths as they race turn 3. The standings, Junior Hanley, Russ Erlin, Claude Leclerc, and Buzzy Bezanson, all in Chevrolets, then the lonesome Ford of Kevin LePage in 5th.
Back at Sanair, the battle continues between Junior Hanley in front and Russ Erlin in the number 8, 2 Chevrolets.
Well, Hanley and Erlin have established themselves as the class of the field here in the late going. Erlin really gets a shot off the tri-oval, has a wheel inside of Junior Hanley. He's got him hung up on the outside this time. Again, he goes down low. Both drivers wheel to wheel down the front straightaway. Hanley by a nose will lead it that time by.
Junior Hanley able to hold off Russ Erlin, but boy, I tell you, if Erlin had the inside line, he looked like he was going to get by.
He's still got a shot on the inside as they race toward the tri-oval. It's Hanley the leader. Erlin hanging back there in second, looking for a hole shot. Again, he pulls up on Junior Hanley. Down to the inside of turn 3. Lap traffic ahead within the next couple of circuits. Junior Hanley and Russ Erlin putting on a war for the lead at Sanair.
We saw a similar situation earlier on where Junior Hanley was following Paul Richardson around the track looking for an opening, and now we've got Russ Erlin chasing Hanley.
Erlin has definitely turned the tables. He is dogging Hanley's every move, trying to make the shot on the inside. Gets a little bit loose coming out of the tri-oval that time. Russ Erlin has given it all he's got in car number 8. Hanley again going a little bit high. Erlin doesn't have the horsepower to challenge this time. Across the start-finish line, one more time, it's the 2 Chevrolet Camaros. The 72, Junior Hanley. Russ Erlin in the 8, again challenging on the inside, but one more time, Hanley has the horsepower to hold him off.
2 Junior Hanley built Chevrolet Camaros going at it here at Sanair. Now Erlin moves in on the inside.
Russ Erlin with the hole shot. Hanley tries to crowd him down. They lean on each other, bouncing off the front tires. Hanley goes high. Erlin underneath takes the lead. A daring move by Russ Erlin as both of those cars touched and got sideways. Erlin with the lead. Hanley now drop kicked back to second.
It looked for a minute like both cars were going to head into the wall. Obviously, the gloves are off here at Sanair.
No question about it. Running down into the late laps, both of these drivers are racing at 110%. Erwin going to the outside of the Daniel Wolf car in turn number 3. Puts a lap on Wolf, and for the moment will hold off Hanley. Let's look at it again in slow motion. Erwin right down on the bottom of the racetrack, forced up high, drifts up into Hanley. They bump and grind and touch. They swap the fiberglass, and somehow both cars come out of it unscathed. Erwin with the lead, Hanley back in the number 2 spot. A great move by Russ Erwin. And Joe, that kind of full contact racing reminds me of a time a few years ago when the 2 leaders took themselves out of the race.
Let's go back to 1985 and a Molson memory.
The 1985 Molson 200 at Sanair provided one of the most thrilling finishes in the 1.3-kilometer Speedway's history. It was the final year of the NASCAR North type steel-bodied race cars, and with about 5 laps to go, Robbie Crouch in car number 48 and number 7 Chuck Bound in the Skull Bandit car were running first and second. The pair leaned on each other, touched a number of times while circling the tri-oval. Then on the white flag lap with 1 to go, Crouch and Bound bump again and again. And then suddenly in turn number 1, the cars come together. Crouch gets turned around and both drivers slide hard into the infield guardrail. As the cars slide down to a stop, the number 91 machine of Beaver Dragon, you'll see him go by on the outside in the red, white, and blue machine. Dragon made his way past the crashing cars to win the Molson 200 and become the first driver ever to win 2 events on the Speedway. Beaver Dragon coming down out of turn 3 as the crowd cheers wildly. One of the greatest finishes in the history of the Sanair Superspeedway. Robbie Crouch in his battered, bent, and bruised Allen Lumber Company machine limps across the line in 7th place. Chuck Bound, Skull Pontiac on the guardrail, credited with 8th. And Robbie Crouch, by wrecking on the final lap, lost a possible $10,000 bonus for winning the Molson 200. Harmon Beaver Dragon of Milton, Vermont, a 2-time American-Canadian Tour champion, carries the checkered flag down into victory lane. A happy scene, including his younger brother, Bobby Dragon, in 2nd, Winston Cup star Harry Gant in 3rd. The Molson 200, another great Molson memory.
While we were away, Junior Hanley was forced to pit because of tire problems. He's made his way back out of the track, and he's moving again towards the front.
He's moving very well, Joe. He may yet get himself back into contention, but that pit stop really cost Junior Hanley. It dropped him back out of 2nd place, and it's given Russ Erwin a healthy lead now in car number 8. There's a look at the Junior Hanley pit. Not a happy scene right now as Hanley came in on a 2-race winning streak here at Sanair, but it's going to be very difficult for him to catch Russ Erwin now.
Less than 20 laps to go, and it appears that Russ Erwin has this race under control.
You can see the kind of open asphalt he has behind him as Junior Hanley and company try and reel him in. Erwin has got a big margin right now. If he can keep the car pointed in the right direction and not make any mistakes, he could be home free. There's a great battle going on for the 2nd and 3rd spots, and Junior Hanley has gotten back around Kevin LePage. There's the view from inside the Hanley car as he has moved out in front of Kevin LePage. He is back to the number 2 spot, but Joe, he's got a long way to go to catch Russ Erwin for the lead.
Even with that unexpected pit stop, Junior Hanley has pulled himself into 2nd spot ahead of Kevin LePage. In 4th, it's Dave Dion, and then Paul Richardson.
Well, Junior Hanley is the fastest car on the racetrack right now, but Erwin has enough of a pad that he is just riding, looking for the finish. Here's a great battle for 3rd. Kevin LePage in the Ford, Dave Dion in a Ford, and right behind them, the Pontiac of Paul Richardson. Dion down on the inside of Kevin LePage in turn number 1. Dion takes over the number 3 spot. Richardson in the 07 trying to follow him through. All 3 cars under a blanket. LePage gets shuffled from 3rd all the way back to 5th, and Richardson now turns his attention to Dave Dion.
Now back with the leader, Russ Erwin, as he tries to deal with some lap traffic here. He's got a lot of room between him and 2nd place Junior Hanley.
Russ Erwin is going to take his time and be very, very careful with these lap cars. Erwin, Junior Hanley, then Dion, Richardson, and LePage, the top 5 as they come down to it.
Less than 10 laps to go in the Coors 200, the 8th stop in the GM Motorsport Series, and right now it's all Russ Erlin.
Erlin has got a huge lead over Junior Hanley, who runs in second, but the battle right now is for third. Dave Dion in car number 29, less than a car length out in front of Paul Richardson in the 07. Dion in the Ford, Richardson in the Pontiac. Dion leads him through the tri-oval. Richardson with a slingshot off the bottom of the racetrack, pulling up on Dave Dion. Richardson traps him behind the lap car of Roger LaPerle. Another spectacular move in traffic by Richardson, and he's got the third spot.
Paul Richardson setting up Dave Dion perfectly behind that lap traffic, and he has moved himself into third spot.
We've seen Richardson make some great moves all day long, trying to hold off Junior Hanley when he led the race early, but that may have been the best of all. It has got him in the third spot. Russ Erlin across the start-finish line with a big gap in hand. All he has to worry about now is a caution flag that might allow Junior Hanley to close up on him, and perhaps a problem getting around a lap car. But other than that, there's nothing that can stop Erlin right now.
Just a few laps to go. Russ Erlin cruising to victory here, and there's Junior Hanley in second spot, well back.
Hanley in the number 72, I don't think can even see Russ Erlin on the same straightaway, as Erlin is way out in front, just riding. Hanley, for his part, preserving his car as well, because the only hope he's got is to catch a caution. There's Richardson in the Norseman Pontiac 07, running in third. Dave Dion fourth in the 29. Russ Erlin through the tri-oval, heading for turn 3 one more time, continues to put lap after lap in the book. He'll pull up and try and put a lap on Bill Zardo, the Brampton, Ontario driver in car 46. White flag is out. There's one to go for Russ Erlin.
After 199 laps, it's series points leader Russ Erlin, a race that was dominated early by Paul Richardson, Junior Hanley in the middle part of the race, and now Russ Erlin is going to cruise to victory.
In typical Erlin fashion, he sat back in the pack, waited his turn till the chips were on the line. Final time out of turn number 3, Russ Erlin wins the Coors 200. Junior Hanley will come home in the second spot. Paul Richardson finishes third in the number 07. A great race by Russ Erlin, as he's done all season long. He had it when it counted at the end of the race.
And Erlin takes complete control in the GM Motorsport standings, opening up a bigger lead over Junior Hanley in second spot. As Erlin pulls into victory lane, let's take a look at the standings in today's race. Erlin followed by Hanley, Paul Richardson in third, Dave Dion in fourth, and Buzzy Bezenson takes fifth.
As he has dominated all year long, a dominating performance this afternoon for Russ Erlin. And a win this afternoon in the 8th event of the GM Motorsports National Series for 1989. Russ, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm pretty tired right now, but I sure am glad to be here in the winner's circle. General Motors Motorsport race here at Sanair. It's a real beautiful racetrack. I just got more comfortable all day long. The track got better and better for me. The car worked flawlessly, and you know, I guess I got to apologize to Junior. I did run into him when I went by him. I overshot the corner. I tried a little too hard, but I guess that's racing. I'm sorry it happened. Probably won't happen again, but I'm really happy to be here in the winner's circle.
So here's a look at the GM Motorsports Series standings after 8 of 9 events. Russ Erlin now with a 48-point lead over Junior Hanley. Claude Leclerc another 40 points back.
Dave Dion with a strong finish this afternoon moves up to number 8 in the GM Series standings. Still one race to go, that one coming up next month at Sanair.
Russ Erlin on the victory podium. Junior Hanley doesn't look pleased with a second place finish.
Well, Junior never comes to the racetrack hoping to finish second. Paul Richardson, on the other hand, he's got to be happy coming back to finish third.
Join us next time when we conclude the series with the GM Parts 150 from here at Sanair. For Dave Moody and George Como, I'm Joe Tilley. Good afternoon.